I think I stole that from Minnie Pearl, but that's all right. She told me I could. It's good to see y'all here today, and I want to thank you for coming to Book Sandwich 10. I know I look a little different since the last time you might have seen me. I do look a little younger, I must say. Heaven is good for that. But it is a pleasure to be with you here tonight, or today, rather. I tell you what, when you're in that great glory train, time just doesn't sound the same anymore. But I heard y'all was reading my book, me and Patsy kicking up dust, and boy, I got to tell you, we did. I need to see out there today, who read my book? All right. Well, there's still time for the rest of you. It's going to be my goal today to get you to borrow it from your library first, and if not, well, buy it, because my family still has bills. You see, once upon a time, I met a wonderful woman, a proud mama and a great singer, and we became friends. I think you've heard of her, and if you hadn't, well, you should. And if you hadn't heard her music, well, you won't leave here today without hearing a little bit of her and my famous songs. Is that all right with y'all? All right. Well, like I said, she became my best friend. And she taught me how to cook. She taught me how to put on makeup for the stage. She taught me even a little bit about how to spice up my love life. For those of you who raised your hands, you know what I'm talking about. But most of all, she was my confidence. She taught me how to believe in myself. And there would not be a Loretta Lynn without Patsy Cline as her best friend. I think everybody deserves their own Patsy Cline. Well, why don't we get on to it? Is that all right with you? Now, the first time I saw Patsy Cline, it wasn't in person. It was on, and you're going to see it on the screen, it was on a black and white TV set that my husband Do. His real name's Doolittle, but you know him as Do. We bought ourselves a black and white TV set from the Sears and Roebuck catalog, and one night we turned on to the Arthur Godfrey's Talent Scouts, and there she was. Right there, through the magic of technology, we were able to get a screenshot of what she looked like that night. And that night, I sat there in my living room, and I couldn't take my eyes off of her. And then she opened her mouth, and out came this big old voice. I thought she was singing just to me. Turns out, y'all thought that too. Well, that night, she sang a song that, well, made her win the whole competition. The applause was so loud, I think it busted the applause-o-meter that night. But she went on to record that song. I'm going to sing it for you now. And it made me, even as a wannabe singer up in Washington at the time, it made me want to learn it and play it around the bars myself. You probably heard it a time or two. Why don't we sing it here together? And it's all right if you want to clap along, if it gives you a good beat. It's all right with me. I go out walking after midnight, out in the moonlight, just like we used to do. I'm always walking after midnight, searching for you. I walk for miles along the highway. Well, that's just my way of saying I love you. I'm always walking after midnight, searching for you. I stopped to see a weeping willow crying on his pillow. Maybe he's crying for me. And as the sky turns gloomy, the night winds whisper to me, I'm lonesome as I can be. I go out walking after midnight, out in the starlight, just hoping you may be somewhere out walking after midnight, searching for me. Does that ring a bell to you? Y'all remember what that was like? I stopped to see a weeping willow crying on his pillow. Maybe he's crying for me. And as the sky turns gloomy, the night wind whisper to me, I'm lonesome as I can be. I go out walking after midnight, out in the starlight, just hoping you may be somewhere out walking after midnight, searching for me. Well, you have won, Beaufort, you have won the first audience to hear me sing since I left this good old world a couple of years ago. Congratulations to you. You're the best audience so far. I'm so glad they let me come back for this. Now, the Ernest Tubb Record Shop is down there in Nashville. How many people have been to Nashville, Tennessee? Have y'all been to the Ernest Tubb Record Shop? Do you know who Ernest Tubb was? All right, well, he was kind of the Garth Brooks of the 1950s and 60s in country music. He had a great big old hit called I'm a Walkin' the Floor Over You. And I thought he was just going to be the best thing since sliced bread. But in 1960, I packed up my car, and me and Dew, we moved to Nashville because I had big dreams of making it big up in the Music City. Now, Nashville then wasn't like Nashville now. You can't catch an eye anywhere without seeing a place to play music or hearing about barbecue or somebody else is wanting to become a big old famous star. But back then, you had the Ryman Auditorium where they hosted the Grand Ole Opry, and you had Ernest Tubb's Record Shop. Well, I was tickled pink when I got to play at Ernest Tubb's shop. You see, he had a show called the Midnight Jamboree. When the Opry would let out, all the stars would go down Broadway Street and land up at the record shop, and he put on the Midnight Jamboree. Well, the first night I was there was probably about 50 people in that shop, and I got up to the microphone and I said, "Hi, my name's Loretta Lynn, and I'm going to sing a song I wrote for y'all." It was just me and my guitar, and I'm going to sing it for you just like I did that night. But let me tell you something, folks. It was rare for there to be a singer-songwriter that was a female. It still is, by the way. But I sang this here song that I wrote, and I hope you like it. Ever since you left me, I've found nothing but wrong. Many nights I lay awake and cry. We once were happy, my heart was in a whirl, but now I'm a honky-tonk girl. So turn that jukebox way up high and fill my glass up while I cry. And I've lost everything in this world, but now I'm a honky-tonk girl. I just can't make it right with all of my wrongs. Every evening of my life seems so long. I'm sorry and ashamed for all these things you see, 'cause losing him has made a fool of me. So fill my glass up to the brim to lose my memory of him. And I've lost everything in this world, but now I'm a honky-tonk girl. Yeah, I've lost everything in this world, but now I'm a honky-tonk girl. I tell you what, a girl could get used to that. Now, there's a reason why I sang that song for you, and a reason why I talked to you a little bit about Ernest Tubb, and it's this. It was Ernest Tubb's record shop that brought me and Patsy together. You see, a couple months later, my song was on the rise. It was just climbing up a little bit, but Patsy, she was skyrocketing. She just had a little song on the radio. It was called I Fall to Pieces. I said it was just a little old song on the radio. Everybody loved it, and everybody wished they'd have wrote it, just like I wished I'd have wrote it too. But it was climbing up the charts. But one day, Patsy and her brother were driving. They were going shopping out in Madison, Tennessee, and another car in oncoming traffic came on, tried to pass on a double line, and hit Patsy and her brother in the car straight on. There's a photo of that. It's a wonder Patsy made it out alive. All of Nashville was just tore up about it, and so one night when I was over at the Opry, by that time I'd gotten myself on the real show. Well, I was on the Opry that night. The announcer came on, and he gave us an update on her condition and said, we all in Nashville needed to be praying for her and helping her pull through. She was stable, yet critical up there in the hospital fighting for her life. So that night, when the Opry went out and I went on down to Ernest Tubbs' record shop for the Midnight Jamboree, I pulled Ernest aside and I said, I want to do something a little different tonight. Will you let me? Of course he did. So when it came time for me to get my chance on the stage to sing, I didn't sing my song. Instead, I told the folks, I said, listen, there's a woman I admire a great deal. She's up in the hospital fighting for her life. I want to dedicate this song to her. This is her song on the radio, but I want to sing it for you now. And I'm going to sing it for you in just 1 second. But y'all, she liked to sing low. And my pipes weren't made for that. But this tea is going to help, and I do swear it's tea. So why don't we sing a little I Fall to Pieces? To pieces each time I see you again, and I fall to pieces. How can I be just your friend? You want me to act like we've never kissed. You want me to forget, pretend we've never met. And I've tried, but I haven't yet. You walk by and I fall to pieces. And I fall to pieces each time someone speaks your name. Pieces. Time only adds to the flame. You tell me to find someone else to love, someone who loved me too, the way you used to do. But each time I go out with someone new, you walk by and I fall to pieces. You walk by and I fall to pieces. Oh, thank you so much. Turns out Patsy was listening. You see, her husband, Charlie, he had snuck in a radio to her hospital room, and she heard me singing her song. Now, imagine Doolittle's surprise when in the back of Ernest Tubb record shop that night, in walked Charlie, looking for Loretta Lynn. Doolittle and his husband hackles raised. He was all right once he found out it was Patsy Cline's husband. I didn't know whether to be happy or scared. He said, "Loretta, my name's Charlie. I'm married to Patsy, and she wants to meet you." All right. Patsy wants to meet me. Well, I would have been there that night, but visiting hours were over, so I had to wait until the very next day. Well, I went up to the 4th floor of that hospital, and I saw Patsy laid up in the bed. There was flowers everywhere, but I could tell she was banged up real bad. From her hospital bed, she said, "Well, there you are." I said, "Hi, Miss Cline. My name's Loretta Lynn." Well, folks, we talked and we laughed. It's like we'd known each other forever. Now, did I know that day would change my life? Absolutely not. But I knew I'd found myself a real good friend. For the first time in my life, I'd found myself a best friend. We would go on to be friends and share all kinds of things. But my favorite thing happened right when she got out of the hospital. When she was finally released, she invited Dew and I over for a night at the Cline house. Now, one thing people think about Patsy Cline, they think about all of her songs, but they don't know what a great cook and dinner party hostess she really was. The woman could flat throw down in the kitchen. Well, that night she invited us over, and we had boiled shrimp and mashed potatoes. I kind of hear that's something y'all might eat around here every now and then. It wasn't anything fancy, but it was real good. Well, after we ate and had a good old time, they went into the downstairs area of the house, and they put on some records. One of the records they threw on was one that Patsy, I could tell, hated, but one that her husband, Charlie, really liked. We got a picture of them, I think. There's her house, where we had a good old time, and that's her and Charlie over there dancing and cutting up. Like I said, there was this one song that they were throwing on the record player that night. Owen Bradley, a famous producer, Patsy's producer, had sent over these records for her to test out, see if maybe she wanted to record them. Like I said, there was that one that Patsy said she would never do in all her life. But Charlie, being the good old social boy that he was, he had met the songwriter down at Tootsie's Orchid Lounge on Broadway. It was a fellow who went by the name of Hugh Nelson, and he was just trying to get his start in the business. And he found out Charlie was married to Patsy, and he just thought that Patsy's voice would be the perfect voice for this song. But Patsy hated it. I don't know what happens behind closed doors between a husband and a wife. I don't need to know that. But what I do know is a couple of weeks later, Patsy Cline invited me to the studio with her. And this song was one that her producer was trying to get her to sing. But it didn't sound like that one that Hugh Nelson guy sang. You do know I'm talking about Willie. Mr. Bradley had put behind it a jazzy bass line, and he had also added 2 pianos to it. And well, folks, from the time Patsy started singing that song, it was magic. Even when I hear it today, I still remember that moment standing beside her and just the magic of the music of that moment. Why don't we try to recreate that for you? Crazy, I'm crazy for feeling so lonely. I'm crazy, crazy for feeling so blue. I love me as long as you wanted, and then someday for somebody new. Worry, why do I let myself worry? Thinking that my love could hold you. I'm crazy for trying and crazy for crying, and I'm crazy for loving you. Crazy for thinking that my love could hold you. I'm crazy for trying and crazy for crying, and I'm crazy for loving you. I guess when I get back up there, she won't rib me too bad for doing that one, huh? Now I've got to tell you about what would be the last day. You know, a lot of people think that Patsy and I were friends for 30, 40 years, but Patsy left this earth when she was 30 years old. She and I were friends for about 2. But we put a lot of life and friendship in those 2 years. We packed it full, I can tell you that. On that last day, Patsy came over to my house. She brought me some drapes to match the drapes that she had just put in her dream home over in Goodlettsville. Patsy was like that. If she saw something that she knew you wanted, she'd bring it to you. We did what good girlfriends do that day. We hang out, we talked, we laughed. I almost didn't hug her goodbye, but something inside me, I want to believe that was the good Lord nudging my heart to turn back around and give that girl a hug. I did, and I said, I know you got a big old weekend coming up. Birmingham, 2 shows, and going over to Kansas City. I'm sorry I can't go with you, man. I just wish I could go with you. You know, she had offered me $70 to go with her. But I had a gig over in Memphis, and I couldn't get out of it. Had no idea what would happen that weekend. But she turned around and she looked at me and she said, it's all right, little gal, don't you worry. We're going to stick together. And I guess in a way we did, through songs and music through the years. But Patsy went on that weekend. She flew out of the airport with her manager, Randy Hughes, behind the wheel of the plane. And they did the show in Birmingham. You can see the poster and the last picture of Patsy. They did the show in Birmingham, and then they went on to Kansas City like they planned to do a benefit show for Cactus Jack. If you look real close at the poster, you're going to see some other notable names like George Jones and Dottie West. They all played that benefit show, and they were exhausted. That night, Patsy called her mama, and she thought she might be coming down with the flu, but she just wanted to get home to her 2 little babies, climb in the bed, and get some good rest. So that next morning, they were sitting around the breakfast table, and everybody was talking about how they were going to get home. The airport was telling them it was too bad weather to fly, but eventually they got clearance. And so Randy got behind the pilot's seat, as did Cowboy Copas, Hawkshaw Hawkins, and Patsy Cline, and they flew out of Kansas City, headed towards Nashville. Dottie West had a car, and she had begged Patsy to ride in the car, but Patsy thought that flying would get her quicker to her babies. So off they went, and the weather was bad, and the flight documentation indicates that they had to take and make several stops. Their last stop was in Dyersburg, Tennessee, where the airport manager begged them not to go. Even offered them a car, to take. But they all wanted to get home. You know, the life on the road can be hard, and we spend a lot of time away from our families, and those folks just wanted to get home. That was the last time anybody saw them, and somewhere around Camden, Tennessee, the plane went down, and there were no survivors. That was March the 5th, 1963. Well, today's March the 2nd. So we're almost coming up against the 63rd anniversary of that crash. Still feels fresh to me. There was a wristwatch they found. It had belonged to Patsy. It was a gift to her from Charlie. And the time on the watch was stopped at 6:20. That number's always kind of stuck with me because I feel like that's the time, the point in time where country music lost their queen and I lost my best friend. Now, the arrangements for the funeral were something to see. Flowers from everywhere. You couldn't turn on a radio station without hearing a Patsy Cline song. It seemed like the whole world was grieving this. After everything had kind of died down, I went back to Patsy's house and just kind of walked around. I was hoping for something profound to be able to say to Charlie and the babies. Heck, even something profound to tell me, to help me get through the loss. But nothing came, so I sat down and I pulled out my guitar. You know, I often tell people when in times that matter the most, musicians, well, we don't bake cakes, we don't make flower arrangements, but man, we can sing a song. So I sat there and started thinking about all those times, all those laughters, everything we shared in that house up in Goodlettsville. That's what it looks like even to this day. And I sat there on the steps, and before I knew it, a song came to me. 20 minutes later, I wrote it down, and a couple of years later, I recorded it. And it brings me to that moment, and I want to share it with you now. I watched you leave, that's how I know you're gone. But this heart of mine keeps telling me I'm wrong. I see your face before me every night. And in this haunted house, when I turn off the light, sometimes I hear you walk across the floor, and my arms reach out to hold you like before. I live for all the things we used to do. And in this haunted house that's filled with love for you, this haunted house I'm living in is killing me, and the ghost of your love won't set me free. Each morning finds me crying and alone. And in this haunted house we used to call our own, each morning finds me crying and alone. And in this haunted house we used to call our home. Well, for the sake of time, I'm not going to sing this next one, but that's all right. You can go look up on all the internets. Just as much as we was all grieving her in 1963, it started to break my heart years later when people stopped remembering Patsy. They stopped playing her songs on the radio, and so I decided to do something about it. I wrote a little book called Coal Miner's Daughter. You might have heard of it. Thank you. And it got turned into a little old movie. You might have heard of that too. If not, go watch it. Well, that's because Patsy's in it too. That was on purpose. When I wrote that book and they filmed that movie, I was adamant that Patsy would be a major character because she was my best friend. And it was also a way to get her music back in front of the people. The other thing I did was I started doing a medley of her songs in my shows. And then I also recorded a whole album in 1977 called I Remember Patsy, where I did my Patsy's Top 10. You want to put that screen up there too? So today, if you want to get your phones out, those things that take cameras or pictures, all that fun stuff, take a picture of that. If you want somewhere to get started with Patsy Cline, these are Loretta Lynn's Top 10, and it was in my book. For those 5 of you that have read it, you know. You can't go wrong with a Patsy Cline song, but if you want to know where to start, go start with these 10. My favorite one, and that I would have sang if we'd had all the time in the world together, would have been She's Got You. Does anybody know that song, like that song? She's Got You. Great. It's a good one. But what I'm going to leave us here with is a more upbeat song, and it's also on that list. But you see, through the 2 years of the friendship that really felt like 10, Patsy wouldn't have wanted us to leave here crying. She probably would have said, little gal, you can't leave them like that. You got to leave them clapping their hands and stomping their feet and kicking up a little dust. Hence the subtitle. So why don't we do that? There's a good old song called Blue Moon of Kentucky. It's both a homage to where I grew up in Butcher Holler out in Kentucky, and then also homage to Patsy, who also recorded it. Well, I know that it was originally done by Mr. Bill Monroe in the bluegrass style, but I love Patsy's recording of it and mine too. So why don't we leave here today, our time together, up on an upbeat, maybe a clapping and a singing and a having a good old time. Okay with y'all? Roll that footage. Go ahead, put your hands together. I said, blue moon of Kentucky, keep on a shining. Shine on the one that's gone and left me blue. I said, blue moon of Kentucky, keep on a shining. Shine on the one that's gone, left me blue. You see, it was on a moonlit night, stars shining bright. Whisper on high, your lips said goodbye. But the moon of Kentucky, keep on a shine. Shine on the one that's gone and left me blue. But the moon of Kentucky, keep on a shine. Shine on the one that's gone and left me blue. Yeah, but the moon of Kentucky, keep on a shining. Shine on the one that's gone and left me blue. It was on a moonlit night, stars shining bright. Whisper on high, your lips said goodbye. But the moon of Kentucky, keep on a shining. Shine on the one that's gone, left me blue, left me blue, left me blue, left me blue.
Loretta Dickman. Yay.
Loretta Lynn.
Oh, Loretta Lynn. Great job. Thank you.
Want to do Q&A?
Sure.
Do we have some?
We'll see what time it is.
12:44.
Yep. Okay, got some questions?
Encore. We'll have to talk to the library board about that. I think there's one or two of them in the audience. There's a question. Yes?
Thank you, librarian.
Do I need to repeat that for the audience? She said, thank you, librarian.
What happens when you read and the story is told and you're doing it, don't you leave us.
Yes, ma'am. She said, for those of you who might not have heard, I was here last week, so for those of you who might not have heard, she said that's what happens when people read and put themselves in the story. And then she said something about me not leaving, but yes, sir.
Patsy, I think I have to call you Patsy. It's so connected. But I think I met you first about 15 years ago. First came to this area when we used to do the jams at the Full Shrub. And you just kind of showed up one night. I used to play there. And you sang a song. And that was, you had everybody.
Thank you. Anybody else remember the jams at the Foolish Frog about 15 years ago, 10, 15 years ago when they first opened up? It's a good time. It's a good time. So I met many musicians in town. Any questions about Patsy, Loretta? People at work don't let me talk about it, so they're tired of hearing about it. Yes, sir, in the back. Yeah, that's about it. She wasn't... It's amazing to think about all that she recorded in that time. Fun fact, which one of her major songs, you didn't hear it today, that's one clue, which one of her major songs was released after her death? Sweet Dreams. Sweet Dreams was released after her death, and she never got the chance to know what a success that was. In there, Lolita. So she had a boy and a girl, and both of them did not go into music. They were, I want to say, under the age of 5 when she passed. They were very young. Her daughter is involved in the Patsy Cline Historic House in Winchester. So you often see her with that. On Labor Day weekend, they always do a Patsy Cline block party. So if that's your jam, go up there. They close down the whole street, and they have Patsy Cline singing, people trying to sing like her and bring her and keep her music alive. So put that on your record or on your calendar date book and go. You can also really literally rent her Airbnb, her home in Nashville. It's an Airbnb. So you can go and stay there. It looks just, that's where I got the photo from. So you can go. It looks just like it did when she lived there. Great question, and I didn't anticipate that coming. So a couple of book sandwich dins ago during COVID, I was asked to do Dolly Parton, Songteller. Phenomenal book, a wonderful singer. And you asked if it was harder to do Dolly or Patsy Loretta. They're equally hard. You've got, you can't hardly compete with, I Will Always Love You. Each one of them has like a quintessential song that you really can't butcher. So there's a level of pressure there. Any other questions? I thought I saw one up here when I did the... No questions? Oh, ask about her kids. Anything else? Okay. Does Beaufort have honky-tonks? If so, I would fit in. I think that's the style. I've been trying to find musicians who will play this style of music. Everybody wants to play Journey and all that kind of stuff. Nothing wrong with that, but I love not having to put a governor on my accent. And I love a good steel guitar, you know? Am I alone in that, or does Beaufort have country music fans? Like classic country music fans? Yeah. Well, maybe I'll find some players who can do that. I certainly would. But the answer to your question is you can find me at the Beaufort County Library. We have a strategic plan. There's a community survey. We ask that you kindly fill that out so we can have your input to shape our next 3 years. What else do you have to do? Do you have to do raffles and
We
things?
have to do raffles. There is a musical that USCB, Always Patsy Cline.
Yeah, I'll tell them. I got the call from Bonnie to tell y'all about this. So if you like Patsy Cline, the USCB Theater is going to do Always Patsy Cline. It's a musical based on letters that went back and forth between a fan and Patsy Cline. A wonderful show, has all the songs and more, some that you might not have even realized were sung by Patsy Cline. They're going to be doing that show here in this building, in this stage, April the 11th and 12th and 17th and 19th. So mark your calendars, go see USC's production of Always Patsy Cline. Well, I don't know how much time you need for the raffles, but someone had asked for an encore. Well, I was going to say, I'd be happy to help with your raffles, but I wanted to note someone had asked if I could do an encore. So those songs are like 3 minutes. Do we have enough time for that? And James, why don't we do Sweet Dreams? Sweet dreams of you, and every night I go through, and why can't I forget you and start my life new, instead of having sweet dreams about you. And you don't love me, it's plain, and I should know I'll never you're in, and I should hate you the whole night through, instead of having sweet dreams about you. Sweet dreams of you, and things I know can't come true, and why can't I forget the past and start loving someone, instead of having sweet dreams about you. Thank you. Well, now it is time for me to catch that glory train, and let's do these raffles.